Hello YouTube, I hope everybody's doing really well. My name is Lauren and I am Sweetie pieLo here on YouTube. Today I'm going to share what I consider to be some very privileged information. And it comes from Donna the Psychic, who 100% nailed the J.J. Tylee case, missing kids case out of Idaho. So this privileged information directly correlates to Suzanne Morphew. I connected her recently with Andy, who could basically be a sitter, what we call a sitter for her reading, which basically means just a person who is either related or friends with that missing person. So when I contacted Andy, he was absolutely more than willing to do whatever it took to find out what happened to his sister. Within a few days, he and Donna were in contact and they began doing readings together. Donna would also do readings on her own, which she considers to be meditation readings, and is basically where she'll be in a meditative state and she will record herself. That way, whatever she's seeing, whatever's coming to her through spirit, she can tell whoever's listening exactly what it is she's seeing. So anyway, getting back to Donna and her type accuracy, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the last case and how she nailed that, because it was life-changing for me. Long before I was a believer in this sort of thing, I was the biggest skeptic. And if it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have known what happened to the kids, which is a story I'm getting to here in a moment. So to give you a little bit of historical context here, Donna, back in January of 2020, released her first reading of the kids out of Idaho that were missing. She was able to identify that they had gone missing at separate times and that they died in separate ways. She even identified how they were disposed of in different ways. She saw that Tylee was dismembered and her body was burned over an open fire pit. She saw that JJ was suffocated and his mom basically came up behind him, put a plastic bag over his head and wrapped it very aggressively with duct tape. Then he was bound like this with his arms kind of held together or his hands kind of held together with duct tape. So in January 2020, she ends up releasing this first reading, which completely identified all this information. In her subsequent readings, she especially identified exactly what happened to them. Like if you take a look at her Yellowstone reading, which I also did like an overview on. I did an overview of both the first reading and the Yellowstone reading. So if you're still a skeptic, as I say this, please check those out before you even look at what I'm going to share with you today. But today, I'm going to share with you about Suzanne and what Donna was able to identify happened to Suzanne in her home over that Mother's Day weekend. Going back real quick to the Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow, the missing kids of Idaho case, I forgot to mention that though Donna released her reading in January and she was met with a lot of opposition, a lot of people thought she was absolutely crazy. And then what happened was on June 9th of 2020, the FBI descended on Chad Daybell's property. They had previously identified exactly, based on GPS and pings and stuff from 2 different cell phones, they had identified the locations which each of these kids were buried at. 6 weeks later, Chad Daybell had his preliminary hearing. And the FBI got up, and law enforcement got up to the stand, and they confirmed and legitimized everything, every detail of Donna's readings that she had seen, down to the duct tape, down to the black bag, down to the bag that went over JJ's head. Unbelievable, down to the dismemberment and the way that they burned her body. She even said in her reading that if you were to find, I think it was these 2 bones that they actually that they actually ate some of that human flesh. So today I'm going to release some sound clips. They are small, they are separated. So one is from a meditative reading that she did, and one that's totally separate is from a reading that she did with Andy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and roll the first clip, and then I'm going to give some thoughts. And these, I'm going to quote Donna directly because I don't in any way want to interfere with the current search that's going to go on this week. So I want to stick really close to what she's given me authorization to share today. So these are going to be small clips. One's like 2 minutes, one's like 1.5 minutes, but they will shed light on what happened to Suzanne. And of course, the real readings are very long. One day I hope Donna can actually release those, but it'll have to be long after the person who's responsible for this is out of the picture and where that person belongs. I'm kind of doing this the way I did her first readings when I did reviews of them. Okay, here we go. Let's do the first clip.
I feel like he strangled her on the bathroom floor. I see by the walk-in closet, but then Lauren sent me some real estate pictures, and I didn't see a walk-in closet, I don't think. But either way, in the vision, I see the man strangling her. Instead of saying Barry, I should just say the man. I see the man strangling her, and he strangles her in the bathroom floor. The fight started. See, that's the other thing. The beads could mean that the fight started in this living area that borders either it looks to me like not super used as a really big time alcohol bar, but more like a breakfast bar type of thing, or could be the kitchen. That's the thing. I don't see it so clearly that I know exactly what it is, but it's this area, and then it borders the living room. It could be like that's where the fight started, because then I see the paper that he wanted her to sign on the counter, but that doesn't mean that it was literally there. It could mean they're saying this is what the fight is over. Okay, and it starts in there. And she tries to retreat to the bathroom because in the past, if Barry is losing his temper, and that's one place he won't chase her. She says, I'm going to go take a shower for a little while or something like that, and that gives him time to cool off. But it didn't work, okay, because he followed her, because he was going to do it if he didn't get his way. This is it. He was going to do it if he didn't get his way.
Okay. So what you heard there was Psychic Reverend Donna Seraphina. She's describing what happened Mother's Day weekend, and we're guessing it was probably sometime on Saturday morning or early afternoon on May 9th. What she's describing here is that Suzanne and Barry, they were probably in a conversation or something, somewhere around the kitchen area. She talks about it like it was like a breakfast bar. And if you take a look at photos of their home, this is completely the area she's envisioning or she's seeing. It's kind of like a bar area in their kitchen, and there must have been some documents or something that he wanted Suzanne to sign. And he got very mad, and he chased her. And she, in the past, I guess, would retreat to the bathroom when she was scared or when he was in a rage. And he has rage tendencies. Suzanne would definitely try to cover it as much as she was able to from her daughters. But in this particular instance, she ran into the closet, I believe, to hide first, and then ran into the bathroom to get away from him. He chased her. She ran into the bathroom to get away from him, and that he strangled her or choked her. I heard choked and strangled on the bathroom floor. So, like I said, if Donna is seeing this, dollars to donuts, that's what happened. And with her accuracy in the past, I have to give credence to what she's saying, and I 100% believe her if she saw that. So Donna wanted me to convey to you guys, and I want to stick real closely and just read it as a direct quote. Barry will become very unpredictable if he starts feeling that they are going to get the body or find the body. That if they're going to find the body, at that point, his actions will become very unpredictable. I want to make sure to differentiate between the first clip that I played and the next clip that I'll be playing. Because they are from different things. One was from a meditative reading and one was from her actual reading with Andy. She is able to see the intentions of a person as well, and she can see that Barry 100% loved his wife, however he was capable of it. He feels very guilty about what he did and that the guilt is just eating him alive. Now I will play the next clip. After she was no longer alive, what he did to try to conceal this fact. So I'm going to go ahead and play that now, and then this will tie up the clips. This will finish out the clips that I have as of right now, and we'll go from there.
If there's anything else. What the fuck are you doing? I'm just seeing graphic murder. I'm just going to refuse to even say it. I don't feel like telling everyone graphic details of gross things. Oh, look what he's doing. Okay, let me watch what he's doing. These people are so weird. You wouldn't even know how weird human beings are. Yeah, he puts her, I feel like he puts her into like a fetal position. Somehow he ties that up. And to me, it feels more like everyone's talking about these ice chests. Oh, maybe you put that into an ice chest, but it feels more like a duffel bag type of thing. And I remember in the reading, okay, and what that tells you, or not you, every medium is different because they're working with different spirit guides and stuff. But if I say, I saw him put her in a suitcase and then it turns to a duffel bag. If it turns back to a suitcase into a duffel bag, that means I don't have it right, but he put her in something, and then everyone starts talking about ice chest. So then you can keep your mind open for any of those. Any kind of little container thing that he carried her out, put her on the truck.
Okay, and that was the second clip. So again, these were done in different ways. One was actually from a reading, and another one was from a meditative reading that she did totally individually, which is where she doesn't have a person that she's connecting with, like energy from a sitter. She doesn't have that. So this is where it's just her and her ability to connect and see things psychically, I think. So from that clip, what it sounds like is after Suzanne was killed, she was then tied up in a certain position, and it was very weird. The first time I heard it, it was very bizarre to me, but it sounded like some hunting method, some strange tie that, some strange way of doing things that I don't know anything about. But it sounds like he roped her up. He roped her up like this, I think, in the fetal position, and he roped her up and he put her into something, whether that was a duffel bag, a suitcase, and she's even heard talk of a cooler. In fact, probably about a month ago or less, she even sort of channeled the Vanessa Guillen experience and how she was dealt with. And I remember in that when she was asking, like, this seems kind of like how Vanessa Guillen, the Fort Hood soldier, was, disposed of. So, I don't know. But I'm very, very grateful because tonight you get at least a little bit of understanding of more than likely exactly what happened to Suzanne. And it's unimaginable to begin with, what happened to her. And God knows she didn't deserve that. Nobody does. And real quick, let me read this quote exactly, because I don't think I did yet. This is a direct quote I want to read from Donna. Barry did love his wife very much. Despite that, his marriage revolved around what Barry wanted, and there does feel like issues of domestic violence, and that Suzanne was willing to go to almost any length to hold up their appearance of a good marriage, even attempting to do this in front of her children as much as she was able. It did feel that Suzanne came to a point where enough was enough, and she was not going to go along with something that Barry wanted, and it felt like the marriage was in jeopardy, and that Barry did not want to lose his financial status. It feels like the guilt of what he did is eating him alive. It's eating him up. He is having a very hard time dealing with it. And that for him to ever admit to what he did would be to acknowledge that he did love her very much, and that he made a horrible mistake and horrible misjudgment, and that he should have never done what he has done. And that Barry is really struggling with his guilt, and it's eating him up. It's really consuming him. He feels very guilty about what he's done. The key for getting Barry to confess would be to acknowledge this. So, that is what I have to share with you tonight. And it confirms what we've been thinking. His very strange behavior now makes sense. And I know I'm going to get the comments where people say, well, how do you know this for fact? This is just a psychic. Well, like I said, if you're going to act like that, you might just want to leave now. And just don't even leave me the comment, please. Because if Donna saw it, guess what? I guarantee it happened. That's all I have for you. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe and share this out where you can. We do not in any way want to sabotage in any way this search. So that's why I'm only sharing very little pieces. The pieces that Donna is allowing me to share is what I'm sharing. And that this week, a ton of people are coming to Salida to begin searching for Suzanne. And Donna made it very clear that she feels if Barry in any way feels like they are getting close to where her body is, that he could become very unpredictable at that point. Anyway, have a great night. Please don't forget to subscribe. Take care.